Hi guys, welcome to another episode of the Technology Show, where our experts translate geek into regular speak. How do you feel about mixed reality versus virtual reality? And what are your thoughts? Gadgets or games? And where exactly are you on the battlefield of Windows versus Apple? Stay tuned for our special geek guests. And now, it's over to our Techsperts.
Hey, it's the Techknowledgy Show where we translate geek
into regular speak.
Oh, there's a familiar voice. Welcome back, Mr. Sternberg.
Yeah, good to be back.
Yeah, we were mocking you last week of flying some airline where you might have had to flap your arms to actually get there. But I think we might have jinxed you because it took you, 50 hours to get back?
Yeah, something like that.
Jeez.
Just glad to be back in the country.
We don't have enough time on the show to actually talk about your your journeys into the big beyond, but you're welcome to talk about the weather at the moment,
I do,
or if it's better or worse. Or
no, there's one small thing is
yes.
If anyone follows me or looks at my Facebook feed, I'm doing a plank challenge, and it's the one thing that actually got me through planking on the airplane
so
in
you're
the
a planker.
Airport. I am a
what
planker.
A planker you are.
You can call me
you're
a planker,
a proper
man.
planker.
But look,
you plank every day.
It's for a good cause, and so anyone that's out there to take on the plank challenge, do it.
Instead of weather, we planked. And now let's go to App of the Week.
App of the Week.
So I saved this one for you.
Thanks, man.
Because we had talked about this one, and then you weren't here last week, so I saved it for this week. The App of the Week is Afterpay.
Afterpay.
Or in my American accent, Afterpay.
Afterpay.
I wonder if that will ever change for me. Like data instead of data, or after, or dance instead of dance.
You've got me to change my Z's to S's.
Well, that's good. I've achieved
email,
something in life. So,
yeah.
Why Afterpay? Well, I mean, that was rhetorical, I suppose. I was expecting you
because you don't have money to pay for it now, probably.
Okay. So for those of you that don't know what Afterpay is, it's actually a very clever system. You can buy stuff online and you can buy stuff in store, and you can make 4 equal payments fortnightly. So let's say you buy something for $100, you pay $25 there and then, you take your goods off the store at the shop or offline, online, whatever, gets delivered. And then every 2 weeks thereafter, for the remaining 3 payments, you pay another $25. There's no interest. There is charges if you miss the payment. They hit you with a penalty. But these guys are amazing. They send you a text. If you download the Afterpay app, which, seeing it's App of the Week, we're talking about apps, you get notifications. You really have to be living under a rock or stuck in an airport in Bangkok to not get that notification. Or planking. Like at that moment in time.
Could be planking.
It could be, because you're going to work up to 5 minutes or something insane by the time that's done. But the reason why I chose it for after the app was actually multiple reasons. The first reason was it's innovative. I think it's a brilliant system for consumers. It negates the need to go and get a short-term loan if you're a little bit cashed up.
Is that like a rooter?
A rooter?
Yeah.
I've stopped rooting. I mean, well, I'm married, so obviously. But what I like about it is that if it's a bit tight, you can stretch it out. Now, the reason I used it is because I'm new to the country. I don't have credit. I haven't built up a credit history. And what I figured out the other day is I went to buy a car battery, and they said I could scan a barcode. So I fired up the app, and it generates a barcode. I give it to the cashier, they scan it, and it does the transaction because you've linked a credit card to it, or debit card. But on the app, it said you have $600 and something available. So it's already extending me credit based on my previous performance. I'd bought something for $30, and I'd bought something for $80 and something for $100 or whatever it was over the period of time. The app is beautiful. The UI is great.
Yep.
It's just so easy to use. You literally click it open and it works. And you can buy it in the app as well. They're promoting people that support them.
Well, I think the really important part of the app from the shopper's perspective is just how easy it is to find what you're looking for, and it's using images, text,
Yep.
the categories that it's broken down into, all the images in it The website UI is pretty much exactly the same as the app itself, so you're not restricted to the app.
Yep.
And obviously,
You're right, actually. You can do it online,
yeah,
correct?
definitely. And what's really interesting is that when you click into a store, it actually takes you to the store's website.
Yes.
It's not actually
Correct.
pulling it in.
Because remember, it's a payment gateway.
Yeah.
You're just fulfilling at the end of their journey.
Yeah. Now, when you're signing up as a merchant, it's either in-store and or online.
Yep.
And so you can actually do both. So you can actually buy through the app, as you said, or buy online and use your Afterpay app. But what's incredible, I think, from my side is how much work's gone into the setup of the platform from the merchant's perspective. So all of the platforms that got interconnected into it, all of the different point of sale systems that got interconnected into it, the flexibility of, what you can do with it as a merchant. It's like just ready to go and really fast. And it looks like they will turn around the acceptance of you as a merchant pretty quickly.
Yep.
Now, when you go into the likes of an eBay and look at eBay stores, eBay did a massive collection of adding retail merchants into their stores. So like Amazon, you can buy certain products or go into stores on Amazon. eBay did the same thing.
Yep.
These guys have sort of almost clipped that ticket because they're saying, look, on eBay and Amazon, you have to pay. We're actually going to cover you.
Yep. And I think, if you take, if you have to use Afterpay because you cash strap, or no, let's not even say cash strap. Let's say you want to catch a flight, okay? You want to go to America. You've just done that recently. What's it? It's about $1,000.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's $1,000 to America. You need to go to America, not you want to go to America. Let's just change the scenario. Not everyone has $1,000 lying around, but you got $250. So now you can make 4 payments over 8 weeks of $250. It carries a burden.
It does.
And there's no interest. There's a penalty of X number. I think it's a $10 penalty if they don't collect, and then I'm sure interest kicks in and all kinds of things. I don't know. I don't plan to go down that route. But being app of the week, UI, UX, I score it high, man. It's one of the better ones I've seen.
Side note from the conscientious side of things, and I think it's really important to understand, you look at gambling apps, you look at those kinds of things that are saying, get them to spend more money. They have a very clear communication around supporting responsible spending.
Yep.
And teaching about that and teaching about how, they'll actually learn your spending habits. So they'll actually only give you enough credit so that they know that you're not going to overspend.
You can't quite hang yourself. You can just buy the rope.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, you can buy the rope, but you can't quite, But no, I think Afterpay 2 thumbs up from my perspective. 5 stars.
Yeah, I haven't given a 5-star
10 fingers. Yeah, I'm in there.
And a stylus.
And the stylus. Yeah.
And Android and iOS, right?
Yes.
So there we go.
That's it.
Cool.
That's it.
Boom.
It is now time for tech news with a Z.
Z.
In the Philippines, they pronounce Z as Z. So there you go.
Z as Z.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's lots of countries that do use Z.
I
I can only mock you because I only know the American one.
Yes.
I don't know the other countries.
Zimbabwe. Do they say it's spelled with Z?
No, but you see, if
Z.
I pronounce it, Zimbabwe. Z. Not Zimbabwe. And I call it a zebra, not a zebra.
It's a zebra, yeah.
No, it's a zebra. Believe me, it comes from my continent. I get to name it.
Right, but strangely enough, xylophone is spelled with an X. Anyway. The first, going international as we've been moving around the world, Turkey.
Yes.
Is
not the turkey that you eat.
No,
Country.
Turkey, the country,
Right.
is deploying an emotional support robot at the airport.
Ooh.
And this robot
You
uses...
needed that.
I didn't. I
That's
really
last
needed that,
week.
man. I had blown my top already. I was done. But it uses facial recognition. It uses emotional detection. Uses language and natural language understanding and generation, and has a conversation with you, obviously giving you directions where things are in the airport, etc. But if people are feeling flustered, it helps you calm you down. And it actually is smart enough to recognize you, so when you come back to it, it can continue a conversation with you and pick up where it left off.
That's cool. So that's obviously then facial recognition that it knows you.
Yeah.
Mind you spent so long in the airport, you probably grew a beard in the time that you were there, wouldn't recognize who you were.
It's true.
That's actually quite cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a little bit different, and I'm going to go the patents filing time of the year again. So I did mention last week actually that NVIDIA has just announced the Turing, their new graphics card. And in fact, Roger Lawrence and I had lunch that day. We were saying, when is NVIDIA going to announce another freaking card? And like I read the news
right there
2 hours later. Yeah. But NVIDIA and Facebook have separately, this is where it's going to get interesting, that's why I brought it up, filed VR and AR related trademarks looking to near future of the space. So NVIDIA has patented the terms VR, true story.
Different VR
Just
or
VR, VR with a plus, VR2, and VR2 plus. It's interesting only because how? How could they even try and claim that? It's from the 60s, before NVIDIA was even a company. Anyway, but Apple filed a European patent for AR windshields.
Okay.
That allow for video calls between vehicles. So they're now hopping so far into the future of autonomous vehicles. Just picture it. Have you used the Waze app?
Yeah.
You see little Waze dudes and you can give them a beep. Now you could be driving and your windscreen can call that windscreen.
Right.
Now, if we take Jeff, can you imagine every time a hot chick goes past in the car, his windscreen's going to be, it's going to be like Tinder. You just turn your windscreen wipers on.
Yeah.
You can swipe left or right, maybe on your windscreens.
Now, if it's AI, I assume that there's some semblance of projection onto the screen.
Yeah,
to
it must be.
have that
We'll
conversation.
have to come through there, yeah.
Yeah.
But
There's a
still,
camera involved or something.
What happens with the sun, man? Maybe this is designed for Sweden, like in the winter months when there's no sun. I don't know.
Driverless cars, Uber. Every Uber will have one built into it. Waymo, etc. Well, Waymo, they're going to have their own version of it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
patent filing doesn't mean it's happening, right? It's filing.
It's filing,
It's just for you and me to sit
yeah.
and talk shit about it. But
So on the NVIDIA side, what's actually happening, you may have heard
Yes.
about this, is Tesla is going to be using their own chip as opposed to the NVIDIA chip for AI. And
that's
so
going
they're
to be a
saying it could
company
be-
that just unravels itself because of Mr. Musk.
I don't know. That Tesla Model 3 is getting crazy
It's here,
good.
hey?
I
It's
heard
here in
this over there.
Modern
We got to go
Place.
check
We
it
gotta
out.
go- yeah.
But I heard it's getting really good reviews. Best electric car ever.
Wow.
And it was getting
but hold on a
ranked on
second.
before.
Is that Trump? It's the best one
No,
ever.
yeah,
This will be
no.
awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
It'll be
It's-
awesome
yeah,
because Elon built.
No.
He's not American,
No,
so
no.
he probably won't claim it.
No.
All right. What else have you got?
So, pretty cool. There is a wearable chair that allows you to sit anywhere at any time. It's kind of like a backpack, and it flips down. You can sit on it.
Oh,
Now,
my head hurts.
it sounds.
This is like
it
Wall-E.
sounds annoying.
Like,
It is
it's
like Wall-E.
Wall-E.
It is. And with the Wall-E,
Wall-E.
I just saw the news, but there was an AI that was built specifically to identify where is Wall-E, or in the U.S., where is Waldo.
Oh yeah, Wall-E, but not that Wall-E. That's the guy with the red white stripes.
No,
Yeah.
it's a camera posted over a poster or a book of where's Wall-E, and it identifies where's
identified.
Wall-E.
That
That's
takes the
all it
fun out
does.
of it, though, man.
That's what everyone's complaining. It's saying, well, why? Thanks for that. Really, you just ruined my entire childhood.
It's like these people that buy likes on Facebook.
Why Wall-E and not Waldo, or why Waldo in the U.S.? Why they
Does
change
Wall-E mean anything in American slang? Like, if you call someone
No,
a Wall-E?
That's a Willie.
Yeah, no, I know Willie as well. And you need that for your router. So, yeah. Okay, I'm going to stay in America, in SoCal. Is that how you call it? Southern California? SoCal,
Yep.
right? So there's a company there. They've made a product called Sunflower. And it's the company's called Shadecraft. And basically, Sunflower is a portable umbrella, like the outdoor umbrella, that will move by itself depending on how the sun moves. It's got full Wi-Fi connectivity, speakers. You can connect your device to it. You can video call through it. It's got cameras that will change colors. So it's kind of like... So, in fact, I'll give you all the specs. Specific features include built-in Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and cellular capabilities, integrated solar panels, so it powers itself via the sun. It doesn't plug in. An HD camera, voice activation, lighting controls that give you options of changing the color and controlling the brightness, so obviously nighttime, and the turning the colors on and off. Now, I can just see all those women out there that kind of forget, I'm doing the inverted commas in the air, that they were topless. Oh, my sex tape leaked because I was under the sunflower. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to see the camera's going to be recording footage and broadcasting them. And the what's her name? That silly chick with the black hair. What's in the Kardashians?
Kardashian?
Yeah. Like, she's going to be, oh, the sunflower illegally recorded me. I didn't know it was recording and can see it. But I like the concept, though.
Yeah, my mind was just wondering which voice platform they're using, if it's Alexa or Google, if it's even integrated. I wasn't wondering what's going to
Didn't
be
mention
captured.
that. It would probably be your phone. So if you're on iPhone, Siri, Android,
Pulled
Google,
into it.
I would guess. So that's sunflower. I just thought it was cool. Can't sit on it, but can sit under it.
Yeah. So on Twitter, I have a hashtag which is the end is near, and
Again,
yeah, this is
we've missed it a few times.
yeah. This is also a hashtag singularity, where Google's DeepMind has invented the Impala architecture, which is artificial general intelligence. And so we talked about artificial intelligence being more of a machine learning kind of a thing, where it learns based on a large body of data and then learning from through trial and error. This is a tool that can actually learn 30 different skills based on other skills that it's learning. So it can teach itself the way humans learn, basically. And so this is that first step into the Netherlands. And it's nothing close to human intelligence, but it's how we learn, and it's making its own decisions on what's right and what's not right and how to move forward in that direction. So, there's that one bot that was built to actually be angry. And there was other news that robots can actually impair a child's learning because it can be negative to the child, and child can,
So you leave your child in the care of a robot, and you come home and it's got a cigarette out of its mouth and a quarter jack in its hand. It's like, what you want? What you talking about?
Any restaurant, any place, especially any public place. How many parents are not handing their kids an iPad or a tablet or an iPhone?
I'm guilty.
Everyone does
just
it.
To keep them quiet.
Why would you not have a robot assistant to do that? Next step forward.
I agree. But what happens if it's an angry one?
I know.
You get lots of me running around.
If it's learning on its own, saying, you know what, kid? You're pissing me off. You're stupid. And then they go, I'm stupid. What happens?
Bad robot. You.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't got any other news with Tech News with a Z. What else you got?
Have you heard about the jump to conclusion, Matt?
The what? No, just say it again. Come on.
The jump to conclusion, Matt.
The jump to conclusion, Matt.
Did you jump to conclusion? Mat on the floor where you jump.
I'm not allowed to say F on radio, am I?
Sorry, I'm biting off of Office Space, but I thought...
No, just say it again, the jump to conclusion mat.
Yeah.
You put on the mat and
it's
outside
a mat
your boss's office or something.
With squares, and on the square it has different conclusions that you jump to.
Jeez. Can we go back to your chair that you can wear?
It's the winning... Yeah, it's all about winning.
Does that wrap up Tech News with a Z?
I think it does.
With a Z done.
I've been waiting 2 weeks for this.
Oh, don't tease me. Just get over it.
2 whole weeks, and there's nothing I can think of. Well, there's other things I can think about, like getting on a plane and back to my home. But other than that...
Shh, hurry up, get to it. What is it? What time?
It's the A and B split test.
Oh, thank you.
That's what it is. And today, what are we going to talk about, Brad?
Well, we kind of almost carrying on from last week. So last week, Angela pulled me down the rabbit hole of Windows versus Mac. I'm just going to claim that she lost because she's not a techie and I am. And she can't speak from a point of authority, and you weren't here to defend Windows. So it was 1-0 to me. But we're going to do the Transformer, not like the big steel thing that turns itself into a car or a truck. The Transformer laptop, notebook, and the Tablet PC.
Yep.
Okay. Now, you've got a tablet PC. You've got a tablet PC.
I do, yeah.
So that's the Surface.
Yeah.
Are there other ones?
There are. So you've got
Samsung makes one
Surface,
as well.
Surface 2, Samsung has one. I'm pretty sure Lenovo has one.
Lenovo has got one, you're right.
I think Asus and Acer all... So there's a bunch out there, and they all have very similar form factors where you have some semblance of a keyboard that's attached either hard into it, like the Surface Book 2, or magnetic kind of connector.
But the processor and all the workings and everything is inside the tablet. It's not part of a notebook.
Inside the tablet or inside the screen. And like the Surface Book 2, you have the base, which is where the keyboard is also a very large battery.
Okay.
So from a perspective of that kind of a quote-unquote transformer, but it's actually a tablet book, it has incredible power.
Right, and then the Transformer is the one where you've got the keyboard, which is physically attached, but it can swivel and flip 360 and go behind to become flat, inverted commas, or stand as a tent, like a tent card.
That's right.
So you could prop it up and look at it kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they don't actually separate.
They don't separate.
Okay. So I think, because we always do the A and B, and this is not about winning. I mean, they're both Windows. Apple doesn't make anything in that space. And I hate to admit it, but the iPad doesn't come close when it comes to actual computing power in that space. The iPad's not a computer, it's a tablet. This is a tablet computer we're talking about. I think where the Surface tablet or similar, in other words, the detachable keyboard is really cool. Where it fails is trying to work on your lap. That's where the big. So if we were doing the comparison on the A and B, you wouldn't if you were commuting, right? So if you were sitting on a train or a bus or whatever for an hour every day, and you wanted to work, you don't want a Surface. Not with that soft keypad that you've got or any connected. But the Surface Book you could do.
That's right.
So now does that actually detach totally as well?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Surface Book, that's actually then like a hybrid, right? It's not a transformer and it's not a tablet.
It's kind of in between.
It's like almost a dock.
Yeah.
I love the battery idea.
It's the best of both worlds.
Oh, no, it's not. It doesn't have iOS. So, okay, we'll leave not iOS, OS. But if you were going to commute, you would probably want to go for the transformer because then you can use it as a laptop, like the keypad will support it.
You probably would.
But the negative of that, it's really thick when you fold it back as a tablet. I mean, you've got double the thickness.
They're fairly thick. It's about as thick as any laptop that's there. I mean, they're not that much of a difference. What gets cumbersome is that if you use it as a tablet, it is thick. I mean, you've got an iPad in your hand, right? And that has a certain thickness. And you use the Surface. Even with my crazy thick case, it's still
like a tablet.
Yeah. So from the tablet side, it's lightweight, and you're getting the computing power, but in a tablet perspective.
Yes.
Windows 10 is pretty decent in tablet mode. Like they've kind of optimized to the point
where... You just said the word Windows 10 and decent in the same sentence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Windows users,
Windows
Unite.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
Those of us out there, but the transformers also have Windows 10. When you flip it around, so the keyboard's facing the back, it is in tablet mode, and it just feels uncomfortable when your fingers are touching the keys on the backside. You don't know if
you see the Windows user's fingers are touching the backside. I mean, really?
The innuendos.
Yeah. Oh, geez.
Fantastic.
I've used one of those. I think it's the Lenovo Yoga that does it. It swivels and turns.
Yeah.
So it actually protects the keys.
Yeah.
Because that's the other one. I've used one where you fold it over, but the keys are exposed. So if you put them down,
that's how it is.
I know, that's terrible.
And so also
all the shit goes into the keys.
If you do that and you put you're working anywhere in a public space or even at home, and you're like,
it's terrible. Yeah.
You know,
but the Yoga actually turned and swiveled and then closed.
Some of that
was
clever
as
well. Now there's one that just came out that actually has a screen for the keyboard and a screen at the top, so it has two screens. And this is, I believe, Sony put this out, and so it actually has a screen keyboard like on your phone.
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean. Like, so the keyboard's
screens.
a touch screen, but you could then use it as a screen.
Yeah.
That's actually quite cool. I like that.
And then there's another one.
Would you be able to pair an external keyboard to that and then use it as two screens and put a mouse and switch?
You'd think
that would
so.
Be a way,
that'd be
right?
sweet. So you kind of put it up like a book on its side.
Yeah.
Then
like
there's another one.
With
I think Acer has the mouse pad itself is a small screen, and so you can actually use it to get notifications on the screen.
Yeah, that's as pointless as the touch bar on a MacBook. It's just...
Some guys from The Verge actually did a review on it. They said it was actually incredibly useful.
Really?
Because you had all different notifications coming up. You could actually watch a small video down there while you're doing... And use it as a mouse pad while you're doing your work on your screen.
I'd have to see it before I could really comment, but my hand's on my mouse pad, and I'm like, I want to read this letter, and it says, you need to go and get... What? Oh, sorry, I didn't see the last word because my hand was on it while moving my finger over.
Yeah.
Is that available? Was that a concept?
That one's available, yeah.
I'm just going to see it.
Yeah.
And then I can comment.
Yeah.
Cool. So what would you choose if you could, like, because, I mean, you've been using the Surface now as long as I've known you. And you've played with the others and that. What would you choose?
Do share if there's news on it, because you didn't mention it, but the supposedly coming out new MacBook Air, MacBook Air 2 or whatever it's supposed to be
Light
coming
or
out.
something.
Yeah, Light.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. I love the MacBook Air. I would go with the Surface Book 2.
Is that the one with the hard
with
keyboard?
With the hard keyboard.
Yeah.
2 reasons. One is that the weight isn't that crazy, and secondly, the battery life is incredible.
Because it's got its own battery, right?
Yeah,
that is cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we had to call it for A and B, non-long distance but portability, Surface is good enough. A tablet PC is good enough. But if you're commuting or spending time in trains or planes or wherever you need to actually work on your lap, you probably want to go with a transformer.
Yeah.
Or hybrid.
That's it.
It's time for extended reality.
X-rated.
X-ray. I think that's what Angela actually said last week.
Did
what,
she?
X-rated? I said,
XR.
oh, she said, what is that now? I said, well, I could talk about hyper as well. And you probably said, oh, God. And we moved on.
Yeah.
Speaking of moving on, let's move on to AR.
All right.
And I came across a little bit of news from Blippar. They just keep popping up every now and then, right?
Where's the money coming from?
So, well, there was a new product that lets retailers, airports, and because you were talking about airports, and commercial real estate owners and others use AR content in their physical space. So you know the indoor mapping that you always talk about and like finding your way through a store and like seeing the arrows? That's the product. They're basically designing indoor positioning because as you know, GPS and that doesn't work indoor. You've got to remap. So they're AR mapping for customers and tenants to find their way. So, I mean, take a big airport or a big shopping center in a place that you haven't been. Apparently, they've signed on 2 major clients already. One for 300,000 US and one for 1 million. So maybe that's where the money's coming from. They're going to self-fund off a paying client, like a paying POC.
So this is interesting, and I wonder... They're going to go head-to-head with these guys. There's a company called Verses, Verses.
Yeah.
And they've launched a very similar, almost like an operating system, which is using geospatial location, blockchain, and AR and VR to actually build a methodology and a platform where you can actually put objects in physical space with the intention of actually allowing retail and owners of that space to control the space that they have. So from an advertising perspective, content perspective, if
that moving towards hyper reality?
It's
right?
like hyper reality,
Yeah.
And it is that space. And these
it's worth
guys
watching them.
Now these
following them.
But these guys have already had their ICO. They're backed by some huge companies, and they're connected with some just big players out there.
Cool.
So Blipbar's been around. I mean,
they keep. They're like that pimple that just keeps coming back, right?
trying,
Just it's there and then gone and then.
I've always seen them as being a single layer, as opposed to really going deep and providing sort of an infrastructure solution. It's kind of like Segway, right? Segway came out, and we're like, oh, we're going to have these Segway cities and stuff, but it was only just the two-wheel vehicle.
In their little world, they did.
Oh, I was so hoping that would have happened.
I have to go to Facebook and Zuckerberg. They've announced a new suite of AR games available in group chat. This is the only reason I'm mentioning it, because they're talking about group chat. So up to 6 participants can play. Don't Smile and Asteroids Attack. Those are the 2 games that they've already put out there.
Don't Smile.
Yeah.
We got to play that, man.
I know.
I haven't tried it.
We'll give it a whirl. And then it's basically, look... let's be honest, they're going straight after Snapchat and Snappables, which is their AR games. But the fact that you can do this with other people and see like the content together, it's getting closer to like virtual reality in multi-mode.
Yep.
But via AR. But of course, it's Facebook. Next.
Staying with Facebook.
Oh, okay. Facebook.
So they've partnered with L'Oreal, and L'Oreal had bought a company called Modiface.
Yeah, we talked about that, remember?
Spoke about Modiface before.
Yeah.
Now, what Facebook is doing, they're actually allowing users to try on L'Oreal products within the Facebook environment. And this is very similar to Snapchat.
And then you buy, right?
And then you buy. So
Yeah.
we talked about Snapchat with Ray-Bans and stuff like that, but this is you can actually try it on.
Try and buy there and then and make it your profile pic.
Exactly.
I knew that was coming.
I had the Modiface app, and I showed it to you before, and
please put
Marcia.
that picture of you wearing the what do you call that pink stuff you put on your cheeks and
Blush.
the lipstick?
Yeah,
Blush.
no,
Whatever.
that
You've got to
was
do
bad.
that, man.
Now, Modiface was also used by Sephora for in-store virtual, kind of the magic mirror kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And it's a very good platform. But this is sort of that to the masses. Now, the interesting one would be how many people on the new Facebook dating platform are going to use this Facebook makeup thing to make themselves look more beautiful than normal?
Don't get me started on that as a total little like sidestep. I saw an advert on TV last night or on Project or something talking about beautifulpeople.com. It's like a dating site, but they decide if you're good looking enough to be on it. I shit you not.
I couldn't believe it.
And then they tell you what you could do to fix it, like maybe filler or liposuction or maybe
So
just
annoying.
amputation. I don't know.
So 20 years too late. That's exactly my foxyplanet.com dating
Is that what
site.
Foxy was?
That's what it was, yeah.
Dude, that is so...
But we
could you
didn't
imagine,
restrict
like,
people.
But could you imagine, like, if
Getting
you could,
rejected.
like, I didn't make it onto there. Anyway, I've got one more in AR, and this one I think was a long time coming. And maybe now that I'm about to get my awesome Hunter scooter, maybe it's something I can use. Raptor AR smart glasses. So the company's called Raptor, and basically they've designed it for bicycle riders. So they're testing at the moment with triathlon experts. So you get all your navigation information, everything that pops up in your glasses while you're riding a bicycle. It's definitely a space that needed to happen. You're riding a bike, you don't have your phone, and that you might have earpods in, but you don't have access to hold a phone, or there's nowhere. They make those bikes super light. There's no brackets to put on phones and that. So the data all pops up on your Raptor glasses.
The glass makes sense. You'll have to ask one of our guests of the week. I know at least one of them is an avid cyclist. My only other augmented reality is a new blockchain game that uses geolocation and AR called Clash and Go. So it's a Clash style game.
Not Cash and Go.
Nope, Clash and Go. It's your typical build cities, build clans. It kind of mixes sci-fi with strategy, heroes, skills. It's a role-playing game, but like Grant's Clash of Clans game, you're building that up. The only difference is it's using, similar to Pokemon Go, city maps, and so you're actually using the real world to build on. Now, I don't know if you can actually build on top of other people's cities, etc. I'm assuming.
Well, you could maybe blow them up.
Yeah.
Like it's my space.
Now, how the blockchain...
I was going to say, where does blockchain come into that?
Blockchain comes in because once you do an action in a space, it gets recorded in the ledger. And then it can't be
more from the
changed
recording point of view. We're not putting crypto and shit down.
Well, but crypto from a sense of protecting your assets and everything. I mean, there's money involved.
Yeah.
So you're spending, as any of these games, right?
Don't even get me started on that.
No, I know. Fortnite.
All right, so let's move straight over to VR then. Talking about games, I had to put this one down for you because you're a planker. Your favorite game? Beat Saber?
Beat Saber.
Okay, so I actually wrote this for you. I said, I know how much you like this game, so now you can stop your plank challenge and do this, because I know you'd much rather do this. There was a guy who was in a car accident that left him basically depressed, and he got weight gain because he lost his mobility and blah, blah, blah. Long story short, he started playing Beat Saber. He's lost 138 pounds playing Beat Saber.
Yep.
So he's basically said if you give this workout and game your all, you will see amazing results. The guy's name I think is Robert someone. I had him here. Robert Long. And basically in 2 months he lost 138 pounds playing Beat Saber. That must have lived in VR. I don't know if it was Beat Saber, the fact that he didn't eat inside his immersion, but he reckons that the workout that he got from that game and like playing it to win, at that level, he shedded weight.
Absolutely.
I know you agree because you've played it, right?
No, definitely.
So as an exercise game, now last week was World Beat Saber Challenge Day. I think you were sitting in the air somewhere, but I think they played globally. Like this is arcades.
This is why I want to get.
You've got to get one. You need to get one
strictly for the exercise. I mean,
tell yourself that.
No, seriously. I mean, look, I'm doing stupid plank challenges on the floor with AR masks on. I mean,
I saw that yesterday, actually. What you got?
So we're in VR now, yeah.
Yeah.
So Weird Al Yankovic, who just keeps showing up. He's the
Polka King. What's his claim to fame? He does all those weird, all those songs that he changed. Beat It and I'm Fat.
Yeah. No. It's from childhood. Actually saw him playing. He joined Weezer singing a cover of Africa.
Really?
In some concert recently. Yeah, it was actually pretty good. Playing the what do you call that? The harpsichord, I think it is.
Oh yeah.
Accordion. The accordion. Thank you, Cam.
What would you do without you, Cam?
So Weird Al has made the first film he's starring in and I guess directed and produced for the new Positron Voyager VR chair, which is a chair that has motion syncing, robotics, it reclines, it's got haptic feedback, surround sound, and scent technology. And this is to be put into mini theaters.
Scent as in smelling.
Scent as in smelling.
So now you can smell Weird Al Yankovic.
You can smell whatever Weird Al Yankovic wants you to smell.
Like
it's going to happen.
Or hairspray.
But I think it's really interesting that you've got this kind of talent that's coming in and producing content. I mean, Lens guys would love this.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of Travis now. Like,
These chairs, it's basically, moving around. You can't see my hand, or you might be able to see it actually if I
look at his
get the
hand.
film on. But you're doing this sort of 360 experience, and I think the smell immersion
How you going to
is great.
That look, it's different though. But that's
Smell-o-vision.
actually augmented, right? Because you're
Absolutely.
adding a layer into it, which
Absolutely.
is great.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I only have one more, purely because I just think it's cool. Is Titanic VR, so you can actually go down into the Titanic and go through what the divers saw when they went through the ruins, and then they've enhanced it and they've actually simulated it. So they have the captain on the deck saying, "Abandon ship, get into the
I heard
lifeboat."
about this. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's aimed for the kids to show them.
Is this done in Japan?
Oh no, I don't know.
Oh.
No, I don't have. It's just TitanicVR.io.
Okay.
I don't know where it was done.
Okay.
But I looked at the video. If you go to the website, there's a video clip, and it's quite harrowing actually, because it shows the artificial intelligence and the animation, and then the real footage when the machine dives down into it.
Down.
Yeah,
It's kind of like that Hiroshima VR that we mentioned the other time.
same kind of thing. That's why I brought it up.
Crazy. So my last one is kind of interesting. There's a French study that's examining how sight, sound, and gravity affect hand-eye coordination. And it's enlisted the German ESA astronaut and current ISS resident, the International Space Station, Alexander Gerst. The study is called Gravitational References for Sensomotor Performance, otherwise known as GRASP.
It has to be an acronym, right?
GRASP.
I mean, you can't just come up with like shit that makes you hold stuff cool in space.
But it's basically trying to determine human behavior on Earth and in space, and how
it's different.
Our spatial orientation, how gravity affects us, and how closed spaces do. If we're going to fly to the Mars or Moon or whatever, like.
It's funny you say that. This has got nothing to do with VR or AR, but I remember watching a show on TV when they interviewed the one lady that captained the space station or piloted or whatever. That they swap roles. They send a new team up.
Yeah.
And she was saying something like burping. You can't burp in space. Now that's just cool to me. I don't think you can burp in space.
Your body doesn't let you burp.
You can't
burp.
What
happens when you sneeze? Do you fly backwards?
That's a great question. We got to go into Quora or whatever and ask.
Yeah, I'm sure it's there. I'm sure it's there.
We got to Google it.
We'll check it out.
Cool. So I think that's a wrap for XR.
That's it.
We're at that time again. Well, not again. I didn't have a guest last week. I just had a guest co-host. So we actually have two guests and friends outside of the show. And we've got Tino and Stuart from Binary. Is it BinaryM or Binary?
BinaryM, the
M.
former. Yeah.
So it's M.
Yes.
Okay, because I saw BinaryM, and I wasn't sure if that was just because M was short for like media or marketing, and I don't know if you called yourself Binary or BinaryM.
Whatever rolls off the tongue easier, but it originally started as Binary Marketing, but we then shortened it to BinaryM.
Well, lucky you didn't go BNRY.
Yeah. Well, if anyone says BinaryM, or Binary Marketing, all three, we respond to all three.
Good.
Nice.
Well,
so we've got all bases covered.
So Tino, CEO, and Stuart, COO.
Hello.
Yes,
all the acronyms.
All the acronyms and names, right.
The Chiefs are in the house.
The Chiefs are in the house. In fact, we've actually been playing with cameras on the show. I don't think we've ever filmed one of our shows, so hopefully we'll get some cool footage to share across different stuff. I think we're off camera now.
We can put it back on you if you want.
No, we'd rather have you guys on. You've actually put us on camera before.
Yeah.
That was horrific. For the audience I'm talking
There's
about,
a
what
lot
they
more.
have to see.
A lot more material to come from there.
We're definitely face for radio kind of guys, right?
Yeah.
But
We're neither.
tell us what Binary is, man, or BinaryM, or Binary Marketing, or Binary.
Yeah, so we're a social marketing business, and I think the first set of principles that we surround or that underpin everything that we do is a bit of a people first approach, and so one of the first things that we remind ourselves of is that no one really joined social media to connect or follow a brand. It's really to connect with other people.
Yeah.
Or bots.
Or bots. Yeah, exactly. So that's the norm now, isn't it? So,
Twitter cleaned up a few men, so they're doing all right, maybe.
yeah. And so, yeah, that's kind of what we do at the moment, and it really underpins everything that we do. But we're very much focused on social, professional social.
I'm sorry to cut you off there. You mentioned the word professional social. Now, that's where this is interesting, right? Because people are going to think, okay, so you manage social communities. But the professional side is obviously where this gets a bit more interesting. And you've arrived with your camera today as you did the other day. So the whole concept of content is obviously quite important to what Binary does.
Totally, yeah. I think the end outcome of everything we do is really to help brands influence their audience. And so there's some kind of two key pillars that we leverage or that are part of that, and one is content. And that's kind of where we bring the camera everywhere we go as a source of content and documenting what we do and helping kind of get our own message out to our audience. So yeah, totally, it's a big part of what we do.
And I think we're all natives from the agency space, but I think some people in the agency space and advertising forget that, the point of advertising is to build a relationship between a brand and the consumer, or between a service and consumer, and that gets lost in the mud a bit. How does that play into the ethos of what BinaryM's about?
I think both. I think it's a matter of which channel is the right channel that aligns with what the brand's trying to do. But from a social perspective, I think that is, in our view, first principles designed, or the purpose of it is to connect with other people in their audience. And I think advertising has its place and it fits alongside that. But I think it's Stu and I have had long hours of conversation about this, and I think in my mind, I think the answer is depending on what you're trying to accomplish and what's the right channel at the right time, be it social or paid ads or whatever the mix is there. But yeah, I know Stu's looking at me with some views, very strong views on that.
You can watch the video and you'll
yes,
exactly
just quietly agreeing.
So Stu, let me ask you the question then. We talk about socials, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, maybe LinkedIn, questionable, WeChat, etc.
Reddit.
What is do you guys play across the platforms? Do you have specific platforms or networks that you prefer? Do you extend the services? I know there's like 3 questions in one. Do you extend the services
really
to
stretching it out,
helping the clients decide which way to go?
I try and answer all those questions in reverse order.
Okay.
So I guess in connection with the previous question from you, Aryeh, as well, my spin on this as well, being an agency survivor and an agency continuer.
We are
We're gonna
agency
wear that.
survivors.
We're agency-
No,
we did
that's
it.
great. We did it. We made it. We got on the other side.
I haven't quite made it out as we've
The tribe
started another one.
The
But,
tribe is
Still
spoken.
hanging on by a
Bring
thread.
your torch.
but we, I guess, what we see as being interesting about our relationship, just on your point earlier, is that Tino is actually the only person who isn't an agency person, I think,
Oh, get out of here.
in the room.
That's it, go.
I feel left out.
He's he's a norm. So we actually combine an interesting, set of experience from actual client side as well as agency experience. But to your point about the different networks and channels and where we suggest we play, our kind of ethos is all about building relationships in the right way. So we don't play in the advertising space. It obviously has its place, but we don't do it. It's not what we're passionate about. And we basically just try and focus on doing fewer things really well and just building out communities and direct communication in places where that's enabled, as opposed to where you have to rely on advertising. So to put it into the context of the networks you just mentioned, Facebook, as I'm sure everyone's aware, has tragically kind of destroyed their ability to allow you to just normally be friends with people now, because your feed's so screwed with all the stuff they've thrown in, and obviously they've lost a fair bit of trust and kind of
crap load of De Niro's
kudos
as well.
recently. But the more objective kind of side of that for us is that if you can't reach your friends in the network, it kind of sucks basically completely, and why would you bother going there? And the reason we do a lot of stuff in LinkedIn is that LinkedIn do still allow you to reach people quite organically. I think when we spoke to them, it's 11 or 12% on average, organic reach in the feeds. You can direct message people, you can create little groups, which are not that exciting now, and there's a lot of options to reach people in an organic manner, but you can also pay to promote stuff, and there's a nice mix.
Yeah.
I want to stay with LinkedIn because it's something that Aryeh actually picked up the other day. Have you seen how they're almost undoing themselves now? They've started really putting screws and limitations on as to what you can do.
From a paid or free
yeah,
access point.
Yeah.
As soon as you start putting paywalls in place, you're basically saying to the people out there, that idea you were thinking about on taking on LinkedIn, now's the time. In fact, I was invited to something called Opportunity, I think the other day, and it's basically, it's simplistic. I'm looking for, and you list 3 things. I offer, and you list 3 things. So I'm looking for new business, someone to film my radio show, and I don't know, hot young woman, etc. No, that's the other side. Sorry, and whatever. And you say, and I offer intent marketing, and I offer ComScore, and I offer whatever, and it matches.
Interesting.
Okay? But it teases. So they already jumped on the bandwagon. They'll send you we found you 800 and something leads. Awesome. You see 5. And if you want to see the rest, you got to pay.
Yeah.
But that's fine. They're upfront about that. LinkedIn's had us for 20 years?
Yeah, quite a long time now.
And now all of a sudden, guess what? Microsoft bought them a year ago. Okay, understood. But, they mess everything up that they buy. But the point is that it is a great network, and it's still an honest network.
Yeah.
But I'm watching things changing both from their side as well as the kind of content that's getting put on there now. It's like people have left Facebook and come to LinkedIn.
It's it's an interesting point actually, because I think, having been in social for a long time as well, since back in the day, I've seen, being a general advertising hater, a lot of networks hit that point where somebody buys them or they get investment, and then they just start basically, like the Ouroboros, just eating themselves and just destroying the reason that you join. And you've seen Facebook go through it, Twitter went through it, Facebook are about to completely shaft WhatsApp as well, from the sounds of the rumblings when they were like, oh man, we'll never have ads. And then, the owners cashed out and don't give a shit now, so fair play to them.
Yeah, 2 years is up, right? Boom, thank you.
Oh, did you say management buyout was over? Brilliant. All right, great, do what you like. So you're already seeing other apps emerging to take their place. Like Telegram's been kind of bubbling away for a while. It's got some quite cool features. But I think in the case of LinkedIn, I think you're exactly right. They're at that pivotal point where I think when you speak to the LinkedIn people, they're trying to stay quite true to we want to be a professional network and we want to help professionals. And they are monetizing their network in ways other than just shutting down everything that's useful. But I've definitely noticed a few of the features that would actually be quite good to keep free because they drew you in that are getting whipped behind the paywall now.
Yeah. But I think so. Good.
I was just going to add to that and say that it's at pretty embryonic stages of its journey. But one of the reasons we feel that it works in a professional context is because it's got high organic reach as well.
I agree.
In my mind, I think there's really 3 kind of really interesting things about it. One is it's the one-to-many reach through the news feed, using organic content. I think there's about 100,000 organic articles per week getting pushed through that, and that's growing exponentially. And then the other is the one-to-one direct messaging, and that's costs nothing. But it's very personalised, one-to-one. But all of that's done. That's sitting on top of effectively what's basically a CRM with 560 million plus and growing users on there, and that's pretty powerful. When you triangulate those 3 things, it's quite an interesting way to reach your audience and build a relationship. And in a professional context, that's really where we're seeing some very good cut-through and gains versus a lot of other platforms that don't have those attributes. So it's really interesting kind of playing field or network as well.
Yeah, I think I actually want to talk about the content a bit more, but just the one point on LinkedIn is that, and really for any of these social network platforms, is that with we've spoken a little bit of AI earlier in the show, and one of the missing elements that I see none of these platforms deploying is in LinkedIn you should have ubiquitous engagement capability where I can tag or hashtag or engage with someone and add them with the rules around my relationship with them built into it. Yeah. So if I'm friends with Stu, but he said I cannot be tagged, then it should automatically learn and know that when I put his name in there, it shouldn't add it.
Yeah,
But if I'm going to
totally.
be sharing something, I should be able to share that across to all the people that who are willing to receive it, follow me, and these rules based. Like, it should be pretty
Yeah.
smart and easy to deploy, and that's not there yet.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, actually, because one of the funny things I've always found about LinkedIn is just they've been around for so long, and I've been on it for quite a while, because I used to do what everyone else did, which was just
Join and
throw
just
your CV on, try and find a better job somewhere. Like, I mean, it never worked, thanks LinkedIn. But the features, given that they've had so many other networks to learn from for so long, are like pretty backwards in some respects, and you got to wonder whether that was just a tactical or some sort of business decision to kind of hold off on stuff until they had money to invest, or maybe there were a few things bubbling behind the scenes, but it seems a bit odd, right?
I'm just listening to the conversation, and a penny has actually dropped for me. The appeal of LinkedIn is the newsfeed that you can push to many. You can send direct messages. You can only do that through email and or message if you're connected or if you pay for premium, right?
Yeah.
There's another little network out there called Twitter that's been doing that for years.
Yeah.
You can push to millions,
Yep.
and it's millions.
Yeah,
Twitter,
yeah.
You
Twitter
can
works.
DM, it works,
Yeah.
and yet they haven't succeeded.
When you
That's the tragedy of
When-
Twitter.
okay, let me
over
choose
there.
those words carefully. Not haven't succeeded, but they're the ones that are just like everyone's going. I wonder what Twitter's going to do next, and yet
Yeah.
they were the fastest to 1 million. They were the fastest to adoption. I mean, I've met Jack Dorsey.
Yeah.
He's a great guy, but they've missed something, right?
Man,
Was it that
Twitter-
they kept it private too long?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Twitter's it's the best, probably the best of the bunch, and
It
yet
is,
at the same
and it
time
just
the worst.
doesn't. Yeah,
it's just too much content.
But-
It's just too much.
But
It
the
just-
point is that it does exactly what we were just saying about
Yeah.
the pros of LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is in the black. I
Well-
mean, they've got bank.
Where Twitter falls down is you don't have your kind of connected personal network. I can't go to
Yeah.
a place and see all my friends and how they're connected, and those levels of connection. So the 6 degrees just
True.
doesn't exist.
Yeah, yeah.
I just have all the people I follow and those who follow me, and that's it. And I don't know my relationship with them or
But
my
just,
history with them.
just
really.
that point, right? If they added one more little thing, which gave you your network of friends as an aside, boom, and
Yeah.
yet it still probably wouldn't flourish,
Yeah.
and yet it does everything
Yeah.
that we want the other networks to do on a professional level. Okay, pushing out real important information in real time to everyone,
Yeah.
and
Do you
they've
know
just
what, like-
battled her.
Along those lines, though, I know, sorry to dive in, but like I think this is, we've talked about this probably casually, but the same thing you guys do that we do is, I think another issue with Twitter is just that flood of unfiltered information that makes it, as you say, as soon as you start following more than a sort of small select crowd of people, it just becomes a torrent of stuff that's a real ball ache to basically try and sort through and find something useful. And like half of what we spend our time doing is just sifting through everything that's available to everybody and
Yeah.
then trying to make sense of it and just picking out like the useful stuff and then turning it into something that's usable, which I know is the approach that you guys take as well, where you're literally solving problems where the solutions are all there somewhere. They're just hidden away in like a giant echo chamber of content that's floating around on the internet.
Well, I'm just going to drop another little, not a bomb, because we don't want to drop bombs. Boom! but the algorithms that are used to identify content that you're interested in. I mean, on YouTube, if you watch a video or click on a video twice, suddenly your feed starts getting filled with this content. The same thing on Facebook. The same thing on LinkedIn to a degree. And I think there are smarter ways to let you have some access into that. You're also completely removing the opportunity for discovery,
Yeah.
which is about the newspaper experience where you turn the page, you don't know what's next, and that's just gone.
Yeah.
And unless you follow certain people and show an interest in those people, that they're going to be generating that kind of content, it's kind of like nah. And that's kind of where I wanted to go to before, which is around the content side and the fact that because you're producing content and what we've seen and what you've produced on our behalf, which is incredible, it's about long form snippets, a time and a place, how it's delivered. You've got video, short form, long form, images, audio, and there's so many things you can do. And that idea that content is king, but that king of the content, which can then be broken down and distributed and disseminated across multiple channels. And I think where you guys have a lot of success now and in the future is that it's not reliant on a channel for success. It's reliant on the fact that there is content to be shared, and there's so many ways to share it. AR and VR coming up soon, where you actually have these immersive places where, depending on who you record the content, like Brett captures on the 360 camera, it doesn't really matter where you put it.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's a really good point that we talk about a lot with. Again, a lot of what we talk about is pretty sort of 101 best practice stuff, but it's exactly that where we know, like I'm a big fan of Mark Ritson, who talks about this quite a lot. He used a phrase I quite like about people getting trapped in tactical ghettos and pretending that they're a strategist when actually you're a tactical deployment of something. And to that exact point, there's obviously tactical elements to what we're all doing, but it's just really important that you keep an eye on the fact that your strategy or whatever it is, or your value is not tied to one specific network, because that network could go away tomorrow, and then maybe your job and your company is going to go away with it. And
well, look at Cambridge Analytica, right? They turned off the taps, and companies just crumbled.
Yeah.
The data sources dried up. It was literally like you turned off the water supply or the lights. It was done. We're getting towards the top of the hour in the end. Give us a summation of Binary. What do you do? What's your ideal customer? We're recording, we're punting, we're helping. Here's the pitch.
So we're all about relationships. And I think, as I mentioned before, a people-first approach to really influence your audience. And so that's what we're all about. And the levers to drive that, for what we concentrate our efforts on, is really content, and also engagement on engagement through social networks. So everything's really based on those broad concepts. And so a lot of our work is done for tier 2 financial institutions, where we work with a lot of brands who are not necessarily able to reach their audience through social channels very effectively, because the big problem at the moment, as we see it, is that people aren't using social the right way. I think the big kind of misconception around how to use it and how to build relationships. They're leading with their brand or a logo and ramming down people, trying to get likes. Trying to get likes for a company page, which no one ever joined social networks in the first place to do. So it's kind of we flip it completely on its head and use people as a way to build relationships with other people and carry the brand message with them. And we're doing a lot of work around in the banking and fin services sector, sort of the tier two brands. So
that's nice. At least you've carved out a niche. That's where your main focus is. Yeah. You can be good at what you do in what you do.
I mean, I give you my sort of spin and extension on that is that the people that we deal with and the people that we like to speak to understand their challenges, and that I think that we help the most effectively at the moment are, which obviously mirrors our own expertise. Are like, if you're a marketing person, you're in probably a seniorish marketing role, you're managing a team, you're probably struggling to really manage a lot of social activity and struggling to create consistent brand communication across a large team or to deliver campaigns. We can help solve a part of that problem. And if you're a senior salesperson, or you're running a sales team, or you are a senior salesperson, and you're struggling to really understand how to leverage social networks like LinkedIn, we can help you with that problem as well. And those are the two probably easiest to grasp use cases and the two most common audiences we talk to. And there's a whole kind of surrounding set of people, obviously, who deal with those people as well, that it kind of washes into. But I like, personally, and I know you do as well, have a lot of interesting conversations with a lot of people in those roles in various different companies that are all feeling the pain that we just talked about, and we just want to help come in and make a little bit of that better. We can't solve all the problems, but we can solve at least a couple.
Right, so we're not going to find you on an island with the other survivors, because you have survived. Well, Tino, you've still got to go and get your stripes, mate, or scars. Where do we find you? BinaryM.com.au?
BinaryM.com.au, or connect with us on LinkedIn, of course. But
and Twitter, Facebook, Snapchat, WhatsApp, WeChat. No. Start with the web and see what you get to.
LinkedIn or website. Keep it simple. Nice. Always happy to meet up in real life and, have a coffee.
Sounds good. You see, there's the people content. Anything from your side? We done?
I'll just say that from Stu was one of the first people I met professionally coming into Australia, literally.
I'm sorry about that, Stu.
I know, it was what an introduction.
No.
It's like, man, everything sucks here. This is awful.
No. It's been great to watch, professionally you move and continue moving and growing and innovating. And I think this is a space that is sorely needing more of what you guys are doing. And I think that moving from that throwing mud at the wall with just advertising to get people to buy stuff versus actually having conversations around why people need to do things. That's why we do what we do. So definitely keep up the good work.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Thanks
I appreciate it.
Well,
thanks for having us.
I think then that's it, man. So until next time, keep your screens clean and your knobs shiny.
Thanks for listening to our latest episode of The Technology Show. Remember, for more episodes, hop onto eaglewavesradio.com.au, follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Catch you next time.